You said that you don't like to fly commercial because you don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did.
If you can hear us, please, Donald Trump, please save me. Please save me, Donald Trump, please. I'm asking you.
Now I'm going to prove this from the Bible tonight, why I should hate Barack Obama. Why God wants me to hate Barack Obama. Why God hates Barack Obama.
We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers.
Amen. We believe the King James Bible is the Word of God, every word of it. Amen. I can take this book and correct the Greek.
Hello and welcome back to the KHGCast. It's been some time. I hope you enjoyed the new intro that I put together for us. Today we're going to be talking about something a bit different. I wanted to discuss the hit anime Puella Magi, Madoka Magica. And maybe some of you are like, oh my gosh, like, you know, you're like not like anime enjoyers. Okay, whatever. Just you can go back to watching Rick and Morty or whatever it is you enjoy, or maybe college football. Maybe that's more your speed. But today we're going to be discussing Madoka Magica. I'm wearing a Zero Hedge t-shirt right now. I forgot to mention that, but I wanted you guys to know that I rep Zero Hedge. Anyway. Okay, moving on to the actual podcast. I was trying to make Cal Crucis watch this so we could discuss it, but I got impatient, so here we are. Now he's too busy rewatching Scooby-Doo or whatever it is he does. Now, anyway. Yeah, so Madoka Magica, first of all, if you haven't watched it, it's pretty easy. It's 12 episodes. I think it's 2 movies, okay? So you could watch it in over a couple evenings, or maybe you just have no job, no girlfriend, no responsibilities, you know, that wonderful life. And you could just watch it right now. Okay, you could pause this, you could watch the whole thing right now, and maybe go to the bathroom once. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so it's pretty short. And the premise is essentially that you got these middle school girls. Yeah, they're middle schoolers. Yeah, middle school girls who basically sign a contract with this entity called QB, which is like this weird looking alien cat. And basically they get any one wish they desire, and in exchange they become a magical girl. And they have to spend the rest of their days fighting witches, you know, as like a side hustle. So that, you know, that's the deal. One wish, but then you have to do a little bit of work. So that's kind of how it starts out now. And people like to do like, oh my gosh, Madoka Magica broke my brain, man, because it was so cheery and happy to start, and then it turned out it was dark and twisted and evil. Like, yeah, they're performing occult contracts. Of course it's going to go bad. I mean, haven't you people like read the Bible? I'm not going to argue that like Madoka is like people like to do this where they argue that such and such anime is like actually Christian in its theme. I don't think there really has been like a truly Christian anime. First of all, a lot of these shows, they just draw on like the broader Western canon as a whole. Like Madoka is very inspired by, you know, Dr. Faustus, right? So you have the Faustian bargain. It doesn't look like it, but yeah, that's basically what it is, as you find out, because as our protagonist discover, being a magical girl is actually it's bad. I mean, it's really bad. That's kind of again, you know, I am going to be discussing the plot of the show, so if you don't want to be spoiled, if you care about that, like I said, you can go ahead and you can spend 4 hours and you can watch it right now. Anyway, but as they discover, the magical girl contract is it has more drawbacks than they realized. Okay, let me start from the beginning. So let me consult my notes. So yeah, I wanted to first, its influences. I think it's well, I'll give a basic plot summary. So basically, Madoka is, throughout most of the show, she's considering whether to become a magical girl or not, and she's considering whether to sign this contract or, you know, sell her soul basically to the devil. or it's not quite that, but she's considering whether to get her wish, and she can't think of what a good wish would be, right? Meanwhile, her friend Sayaka has a wish, and we're going to discuss Sayaka at length because I think she's really one of the more interesting characters. But meanwhile, another there's like a transfer student who arrives at their school. Her name is Homura, and Homura warns Madoka, don't accept the contract. Like, she is a magical girl herself, and she warns Madoka not to accept the contract. And you see pretty quickly why, because Sayaka, who accepts the contract, now her wish was she's in love with this violin player who's like in a hospital bed. There's like some unknown accident or whatever. He's in a hospital bed. He can't play the violin no more. And her wish is so sweet. She just wants him to be healed again so he can play the violin. And so she goes through the contract, and she becomes a magical girl, and she starts, killing the witches. Yes, let's talk about the witches. So the witches are like, I don't know, these like cutesy like horror things. And, at first, like, okay, so it's funny how there's a character at the beginning named Mami, I think. Yeah, Mami. Mami. I don't know if that's a common Japanese girl's name or what, but I always feel like that's not her name, but it is. Anyway, so Mami, and she's like this like blonde girl, and she's older, and she's a magical girl, and she's like showing them the works, and then like I think it was like the end of like the third episode, she like gets eaten by a witch and like killed right in front of everybody, and everyone's like crying and shocked and horrified, and everyone's like, wow, like all like the media literacy people are like, man, this broke my brain, man, dude, this is too dark, man, this is actually screwed up and twisted, man, this is evil, man, this is but yeah, so she gets, so the witches actually they are no joke, they are deadly. And what they do, however, though, if you do manage to defeat them, it drops this thing called a grief seed, or was it a grief seed? No, sorry. The grief seed is what they are when they start. I'm trying to remember what the thing they drop is, but they drop something that basically lets you, restore your magic, but actually it like gets all like the evil out of your soul. Oh yeah, so when you become a magical girl, you get this thing called a soul gem, which stores all your magic or whatever. But it turns out it actually literally is like your soul gets transported into the gem, and that's like your essence. And that was like some like big horrifying revelation for people, or for the magical girls in the show, and they discover that by accident, and they're like, QB, why didn't you tell us that? And he's like, I didn't think you would care. It's really funny. Where was I going with this? Yeah, so Sayaka, unfortunately, her wish doesn't quite turn out as it intended. She starts to go crazy. She starts talking like Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now.
It's impossible through words to describe what is necessary to those who do not know what horror means.
And eventually, I don't know, she like kills like a couple guys, and then, or actually, yeah, so her little crush, sadly, it doesn't go so great because her friend confesses her love first, and she like literally used her wish because she was in love with him, and now she's the other girls stole his affections, and now she wants to like kill everyone. I mean, we'll talk about this more later. Anyway, so it doesn't go so well for Sayaka. And you discover that, if you're a magical girl and you don't clean your soul gem with whatever that MacGuffin was called, then you turn into a witch. Okay, and you turn into a witch, and it's really bad. And then the other magical girls have to hunt you down and kill you. And apparently that's the ultimate fate of all the magical girls, and so on. Let me think what happens after that. There's like another magical girl who comes in and dies, and we'll talk about her too. And eventually it's just Madoka and Homura left, and basically there's about to be the biggest, baddest witch of all time is about to hit town, and they gotta kill it, otherwise everyone's gonna die basically. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like, the witches like kill people, right? They like get people to commit suicide or whatever. And so you realize it reveals that Homura's power actually is time travel. That's like her magical girl power. Everyone has like a different one or whatever based on your wish, and you discover that originally Madoka was a magical girl and saved Homura's life, and Homura became a magical girl. Or no. Madoka saved Homura's life, and then Homura has to watch as like Madoka gets killed by like the big bad witch, the Walpurgis Knot, I think it was called. I'm gonna try to keep this brief, this plot summary, and you find out that basically Homura has been going, saw this happen and wished that she could save Madoka, so she's been going back in time attempting to save Madoka, but every time she does, something else goes bad. Like one time Madoka turns into like an awful witch, and the strongest witch the world has ever seen, and it's just bad. And so Homura has tried numerous times to prevent Madoka from becoming a magical girl because she knows Madoka will die. But ultimately, at the end of the show, right, Madoka does make a wish, and her wish is that there's no more witches, and it breaks like the whole setting, and Madoka becomes like a transcendental concept. And this is where people will say like, oh, like Madoka's like Jesus, like saving the world. No, not really. I mean, I don't think Madoka is a messianic figure at all. Okay, she does become the embodiment of hope, right? But I don't think you can really argue that Madoka is a good Christ figure. It's obviously she wasn't meant to be, because I don't know. Let me think. Like a good Christ figure has authority, right? Like if you want to do like, let's do like baby's first Christ figure. We would want to do like the Chronicles of Narnia. Like Aslan is. He has a presence. He has authority. He's not this like confused little middle school girl like trying to figure out what the best thing to do is. He's not asking his mama for help. Like Jesus is. I don't think it really lines up. You could argue more for like a kind of like a Buddhist. She's like a suffering bodhisattva or something. I don't know much about Buddhism, but I think that would probably make more sense, especially considering it is Japanese. I mean, they're not gonna. It's not like Madoka explicitly died for the sins of the world, and I don't think you're really gonna find that in anime anywhere. Moving on, but I want to discuss more. If I check my notes, I want to discuss more Sayaka, because Sayaka's sin, right? You could argue that if you watch it, you could argue, yeah, well, she was foolhardy, right? She rushed into something she didn't understand, and so basically, there's like a, Sayaka's like, like the, kind of like a more like standard character, but then you have this like bratty, sugar addicted magical girl who comes into town, and her name is Kiyoko, and we'll talk about Kiyoko too, because I think there's an interesting discussion there, but Kiyoko is like, you're so stupid. You should have used your wish for yourself and not for somebody else, and now you're going to suffer. And Kyoko's whole backstory, explains why, she thinks you should just be selfish and do whatever you want. And anyway, so Sayaka, so like I said, Sayaka basically, she used her wish to save this boy from the hospital bed, and then he forgets all about her, and she goes crazy, basically.
And then I realized, like I was shot with a diamond bullet right through my forehead. And I thought, my God, the genius of that, the genius, the will to do that.
And she decides everything is hopeless, that she's been a fool, she hates everyone. And that's kind of, that's where it falls apart for her, where she gives into despair. Like, for example, she won't purify her soul gem. Like, they offer her the, I'm forgetting what they're called. Hold on. One moment. They're called the freaking, Googling Madoka Magica, Googling Madoka Magica is pretty funny, because it's like does Madoka Magica have LGBTQ? And you open it and it's TV trope saying yes, it's super gay, because that website is probably run by transvestites. No, there's no sexual content, and that's one thing I appreciate about the show. There's nothing like that really, but that won't stop deranged people who weeded off their reproductive organs from saying that it's actually just it's about homosexuality. Hold on, I cannot find what this freaking thing is called. It's am I gonna edit this out? I haven't decided if I'm gonna edit this part yet. Oh, okay, yeah, I was right. It was the grief seed. So you use the grief seed after you collect the witch, or after you kill the witch and you loot its body like it's freaking Dark Souls. I don't know. Yeah, actually, it is kind of like Dark Souls. Like you kill one of these things and like it disappears and screams, and you gain 24,000 souls or whatever, and it drops an item. It's like basically a humanity. Actually, that's kind of funny. Yeah, it's basically a humanity in Dark Souls, or a human effigy from Dark Souls 2, the better Dark Souls game. Anyway, so she's not taking care of herself. She's not cleansing her soul gem, and so she turns into a witch. And Madoka tries desperately, so Madoka and Kyoko are they're talking with Kyubi, who's like literally Mephistopheles or whatever his name was. And Kyubi's like, oh yeah, maybe you could try to get her back, I don't know. And oh yeah, so another thing I want to talk about, it's so funny. I mean, the Madoka adrenochrome interpretation, because basically it's revealed that Kyubi is like an extraterrestrial, and he's like trying to like stop the heat death of the universe or something, and so in order to do that he needs to go to Earth, and he needs to convince like little girls to become magic or whatever, because that generates the most emotional power that they can harvest. And I'm like watching this and I'm like, dang, like I think I saw Tony Podesta talking about this once. So yeah, it's there's the adrenochrome interpretation also. Why did I bring this up? Yeah, so Kyubi's like, oh yeah, well maybe you could save her, and so Kyoko goes and tries to like reason with Sayaka, who's now like this horrific witch, and it doesn't work out, and Kyoko has to blow herself up in order to kill them all. And yeah, so then it's just Homura and Madoka left, and we realize that Kyubi really wants Madoka to become a magical girl because he thinks she has a lot of quote unquote potential. Read adrenochrome to harvest, more or less. He says, you'll become the most powerful magical girl ever, blah, 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 that sort of thing. Just if you make your wish, but Madoka still can't decide what her wish is until the end. So yeah, Sayaka, but I really did, I did think they did a great job with like Sayaka's like downfall, because it's like so hopeful at first when she's a magical girl. She's killing witches, she's saving people from killing themselves, and then it starts to go bad. Like her friend is like, yeah, that guy you like, yeah, I like him too. I'm going to confess to him tomorrow. And, of course, it goes well. And Sayaka is, hell hath no fury. And, so Sayaka will, she won't give in to reason. She won't listen to the other magical girls telling her, hey, cleanse your soul gem. You need to, you're going crazy. Something very bad is going to happen if your soul gem isn't cleansed soon. But she won't listen, and this is kind of like, if you ever know a person who just like they know they're screwed up, and they know or in a Christian sense, they know they're sinning, they know they're disobedient, they know they're going down a dangerous path, and they just won't stop themselves. Okay, they won't stop themselves. They know what to do, and they won't do it. They won't believe the promises of the Bible. They're just kind of blinded by their sin. And so I thought that was for that reason I thought Sayaka was one of the more interesting characters, and it is tragic what happens to her, but don't worry, Madoka saves everyone in the end. She fixes all the timelines and whatnot. Moving on from Sayaka, let me check my notes. I wanted to discuss Kiyoko, who is like, yeah, she comes on and she's like this like bratty lolly, and she's like always eating something sweet, like she's always like eating like freaking apples or like cookies or something, and she's got like the fang tooth, and she's like mean to everyone. And when she first meets Saka, she tries to kill her for I literally don't even remember why. And but later she tries to reason. So basically her backstory is that her dad was like a mega church preacher who went crazy. And they have this like nice scene. That's one thing I really liked about the show. It had just like really nice backgrounds and architecture. Like their school looks like freaking Ain Orlando from Dark Souls. It's like, for some reason, I don't know why. Okay, it doesn't look that much like it, but it's a really artistically well put together production. So anyway, Kyoko and Saka are meeting in this abandoned church, and Kyoko is like, look, you can use your magic, that boy who's giving you trouble, you can use your magic girl powers to like basically just like rape him, like, you don't even need to. I mean, she doesn't say that, but that's basically, it's like what she's implying. She's like, you could have him wrapped around your finger, you just need to like start you need to like evil max, you need to use like the powers, and Saka like won't do it. And so Kyoko's backstory was her dad was like like a mega church. It's so funny. Her dad was like a mega church preacher who like went off the rails and started preaching all these different things, and people were like, hey, this guy's going crazy. And then but she really believed in her father's teaching, and so the wish she made was that everyone would listen to her father. And sure enough, you got the converts coming straight in, and it's like he's like Kenneth Copeland or whatever, I don't know, and it's going great. And she never tells her father, and she's fighting the witches at night, and working with her dad during the day to save the souls. And anyway, but then I think when she actually does tell her father, he loses it, because it's like he thought like people actually believed, and they don't. They're just being compelled by the wish. And I think like he killed himself or something, and the rest of the family died, and it's just like all bad. And so she, her wish basically it ruined everything, and so now she just goes around stealing candy and whatever. And so that's like kind of like her preaching to Saka, like just do whatever you want, stop caring about other people, just live for yourself, blah blah blah, because if you try to live for others, you're just gonna get burned. It doesn't, and it is kind of cynical, like you have like this cynical worldview. Saka, yeah, her wish was for others, and it just backfired. Kiyoko, her wish was for others, and it just backfired, and they just should have been more selfish, right? That's what Kyoko's trying to say. But I'd say that. But at the end, you see Madoka's very selfless wish, where she transcends space and time, and kind of just I don't even know what she becomes, or they say she becomes like a god or whatever. See, it's not Christian yet; it's Gnostic or whatever. It's Eastern Orthodox. I don't freaking know. But yeah, you kind of, and it's funny because in the end, Kyoko. She dies sacrificing herself, so she didn't truly believe really even what she meant. Okay, what else did I want to discuss? Oh yeah, and then finally, this one is hard, so I wanted to discuss Homura, and I didn't know what to talk about with her, because it's not like there's really like she's very motivated by her love for Madoka, and again, it's it's platonic. Okay, this is not like it's not like that. Despite what people will have you believe. Anyway, but I didn't know what to say about Homura, because, well, she's interesting, right? Because she realizes that she's going to become a witch if she gives into the despair of not being able to save Madoka. And so, like, she's done this, she's gone through so many timelines trying to save Madoka, and she's watched Madoka die so many times, and she can't bear it, right? Because, that was her wish, right? To save Madoka. And she she keeps having to watch this, but I don't know, she's a very hard to read character for most of the show until you see her backstory, because she's very cold and off-putting at the beginning, and she's just like mean and evil maxed and all that, and nobody understands why she's there, nobody trusts her, and that to me is interesting. That's even more of a suffering messianic figure than Madoka herself. But again, I don't think you could really make that argument in good faith. But yeah, no, it's interesting. So she's suffering silently, and she's just motivated by her love. Also, I really love her. She's really beautiful. I think she has the best design. In fact, I'm going to take a moment to recite some love poetry I wrote for her. It's only a couple pages. No, I'm kidding. I didn't write any love poetry for her. As funny as it would be to recite this, but yeah, I like her. She's beautiful. She kind of has like that lunar motif going, and it's true. Women, the moon is kind of like a feminine perennial motif, and I think it works well for them. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts on Madoka. Hopefully, if you haven't seen it, you can try it out and enjoy it. I really liked it. I think I watched it over like a week or something. It was really good. So yeah, go ahead and enjoy, and I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I would like to record more of these in the future. I have a lot more time. I just don't have ideas. So if there's something you would like me to talk about, please leave a comment, and I'll happily record an episode if I think I have something to say about that. So yeah, I'll see you next time.